Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been cheated on, or have you ever cheated on someone else, whether it was in a college relationship or even in marriage? We're going to talk to Donna Arp Weitzman. She's an author, speaker, a relationship expert, and boy, do I have questions for her. First, let's bring her up. Donna, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Hello.
Hi, Pat. How are you?
Doing really, really well. As I sit here, I'm not cheating, nor am I being cheated on. So there we go.
Well, there we go. That's a good clean slate.
There you go. But a lot of people are being cheated on. And in a recent article, I saw where 3 people are very typically the type that could or would cheat: narcissists, insecure people, and selfish people. Donna, isn't that about half of America?
Well, it is about half of America because statistics show that about 25% of all men in marriages cheat. Somewhere between 25, and it's been there have been surveys up to over 60%, but generally comes in about 1 in 3. And then for women, generally somewhere around 15 to 25%. I've seen studies up to 40%, but generally somewhere in the 20% range.
Wow. Now let's talk about
that's quite a few people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. It really is. I mean, when you start talking about the population of the country, we start talking about the number of relationships that people have. Let me ask you a far-out question here. You're a relationship expert. If I'm dating somebody, let's say in college, and we're not engaged yet, but we're fairly serious, and then I find out she's also been hanging around and doing some stuff with another guy on campus, but we get through that. Should my antenna go up? I mean, if somebody's willing to cheat on that relationship, is there a tendency that they will then, in turn, probably also cheat on a different relationship?
Yeah, unfortunately, once a cheater, kind of always a cheater, it's really hard to overcome those particular traits. Now, there are people who go to marriage counseling or relationship counseling and do overcome it. I'm not totally negative on that situation, but my antenna would stay up, and I don't know if I would not go ahead and just break that off and go with someone else, because you need to look for those 3 traits in their personality. And you mentioned them. Narcissists, you can almost bet if they're a narcissist and look for the traits in narcissism, they're going to cheat at some point.
And they're probably almost set up for it. Forgive me for cutting in, but when I was reading from the article about the narcissist, it's interesting. It's all about proving how lovable they are, and it's not enough to have one person loving them. They want to make sure that everybody loves them. Well, if you need that kind of validation, then you need warm fuzzies coming from a whole lot of people your direction, and that could take off on a lot of very bad avenues.
Well, I always say a narcissist has a hole in their soul or a hole in their heart, and it just really, really is hard to fill it. Almost impossible for one other person to fill it because they don't fill their own hole. And so they're continuously looking for praise, adoration, those sorts of things, and they can never get enough. And so it usually ends up that they have maybe one or more lovers. Many of them have multiple wives and multiple lovers. So narcissism is a really big situation, a big red flag. And whether you're in college, high school, or you're out working or whatever, look for the narcissist. The surprising one is shy people. And because shy people, and when I say shy, those easily intimidated, they often don't value their own self-worth. So they're looking for their self-worth from other people, and that's what causes them to get into other relationships. They're easily led.
Also the insecure and the selfish. Let's talk about those, shall we?
Well, the insecure and the selfish, the selfish ones, they don't really think about whether it hurts the other person or not. They're really just looking to fulfill their own need. So there's no value to the other person in a relationship. So they often have affairs or they cheat because it's unimportant. They're looking at themselves and what they need at that point. So those are the 3 big red types of personalities that are red flags.
We're talking to Donna Arp Weitzman, author, speaker, and relationship expert. Donna, let me ask you, if somebody's in high school or college and a parent or a really good friend or maybe a teacher sees something in a relationship that to some doesn't seem like any big deal, is it overstepping? Does it make things awkward if they sit the person down and say, you might want to rethink this relationship that you're in because, a lot of study and statistics show this isn't going to go well for you in the long run? I mean, I could see where some people would be greatly offended by that, but you might also save them a lot of grief.
I started to say being offended is a lot less hurtful in the long run than someone breaking your heart. So those that are close to someone that believes that their person, their friend, their loved one is being cheated on, or could have the possibility of being cheated on, you only do them a favor by telling them the truth. But I would ask it in a question form. I'd ask them to see if they can come to the conclusion themselves. So ask them strategic questions about their lover, and so that really helps.
Okay, so you let them get to it as opposed to you saying, hey, here's what you really need to do. I could see people kick you back.
That's right.
Before I let you go, Donna, I was looking at a story a couple of weeks ago, and it's all this weird James Bondish technology that you can use to spy on your girlfriend or spy on your husband and, have a hidden camera in their car or in their office.
Yep.
If I'm to the point...
I have one piece of advice for that.
Okay.
Don't. If you're that suspicious, go ahead and break up. Go ahead and get rid of the relationship, because trust is essential to any relationship.
Well, as soon as they find your hidden camera in their office, it's over anyway.
That's right. It's already over before you start, so I wouldn't worry about all the technology. There's been private investigators for probably over a century, or maybe centuries. So, we've always had some kind of situation to catch people. But then when you catch them, what do you do? So, it's better to just go ahead and get rid of it and have a relationship that you trust. Are
some of these questions that we ought to bring up, like with our daughters and our sons? I always go to protecting daughters because I had two, and I didn't have any sons, and the reason that we had two daughters was I didn't have enough nerve to have three. But in this, is this a good preliminary thing? When you have a daughter, I mean, you don't want to freak them out if they've never dated before, but as they're getting ready to enter the dating world, to have some kind of soft conversation about this, which is something that they should look for?
Yes, absolutely. And also let them read about things. Let them read about the personalities, because a lot of times young people get caught in things just because they don't have the knowledge or the experience. And so the more you can share with I have a 30-year-old son who's not married, and almost every day I send him something on email about a relationship that I've read about or some kind of lesson. And I don't know if he reads them or not, but he's kind enough never to email me back and say don't send.
Yeah, would you drop it?
It's kind of like anything else. You just keep feeding the spoon, and hopefully some of it goes down. So, yes, definitely. The more you can make them aware of things, the better.
Well, I will tell you, we have two daughters, and they're both in their 30s, and neither is married. And the lovely Mrs. Miller, every other month, keeps working in the nursery at church just to hold babies. And I'm afraid if one of our girls doesn't get married and give her a grandchild soon, we're going to be arrested for stealing a baby from church. So,
better to get the baby than her marry the wrong person. So.
Yeah, there you go. You can find out more about Donna. And again, her name is Donna Arp Weitzman, Weitzman. And do what I do. Just go to DonnaArpWeitzman.com. You can find out more about her organization. You can find out more about her new book, Cinderella Has Cellulite, which is telling everybody that, it's not all about Prince Charming and, all good looks.
Absolutely, Pat. It's been a delight.
Well, it's been a lot of fun to have you. We'll have you back again, and I'm going to check out this book. And now that my wife finds out that you have a son that's not married and she has daughters that's not married, you guys can share emails and cry on each other's shoulders, okay?
You know what? I think we've got some camaraderie, so tell her to give me a text or an email, either one.
There you go. Hey, thank you very much, Donna.
Thanks, Pat. Have a great afternoon.
You too. DonnaArpWeitzman.com, Weitzman. Delightful lady. Donna Arp Weitzman, author, speaker, and relationship expert, and her new book, Cinderella Has Cellulite. Don't be careful where you bring that up. It could cause a lot of fights. I'm just saying.